Today is the last day to get 30% off your orders at gfuel.com with code ESPRESSO. It's a great time to check out the new iced coffee flavor or the new Carnage shaker. If you're interested, links in the description below. This past week for Modern Warfare has been, well, eventful. Whether for better or for worse, there's been a handful of things to discuss. Over the course of the last few days, we discussed the larger bulk of everything needed, but today, as we take some time to decompress on the weekend, I figured we'd discuss what's left that we haven't discussed just yet, really. Some information coming up regarding next week's content, some new additions and support for the competitive league's launch, some updates regarding various large errors with update 1.13, upcoming double XP events, and finally a discussion probably about, well, where are any new maps? It's been quite some time. So that said, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments as we go along, and as well, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as we're on that road to 300,000 subscribers, and we'll keep you up to date with all things Modern Warfare on a daily basis. But anyways, let's get into it. Some of the stuff we'll talk about comes from yesterday's community update blog, which was, again, as of last week's, kind of more so just a recap, but it did give us some information, again, shedding some light on future things, and also giving us a little bit more of an update in terms of some of the issues that players were having as a result of update 1.13. But let's talk about firstly the stuff that we learned about firstly as of yesterday, that being the fact that as of Tuesday, we'll get a brand new game mode into Modern Warfare, not something that we've already seen in the game. It's not necessarily brand new to the entire Call of Duty franchise, but it's going to be new for the first time in Modern Warfare, that being Deathmatch Domination. Now, if I were to assume this is going to work how we've seen it before, it was seen in Black Ops 4, in which Deathmatch Domination is domination, but you end up having a higher score limit, but kills also then count towards that objective score. So it's a way to allow both play styles, whether you want to go for kills or you want to just play the objective solely, both of those then go towards helping your team out get that overall win for the match. Now, I love this in Black Ops 4. I'm hoping that I enjoy it here in Modern Warfare. I know that some of the playstyles definitely differ compared to Black Ops 4, but we'll have to see how that all works out here with this one. Additionally, we also learned that we're going to be seeing new loadouts for gunfight. They didn't mention anything about the secondary mode of gunfight that is the LTM, because we always have gunfight standard. They didn't mention anything about if 3v3 was going to stay, if it was going to go back to 1v1, if we were going to get, say, OSP, if we were going to get tournaments back. They didn't say anything about that, but they did mention that gunfight will be having some more loadout tweaks, so you won't be using the same things you probably have been the last couple of weeks if you play gunfight exclusively or even just a decent bit. Now, the final part here that was mentioned out of the upcoming things within this community update blog from Infinity Ward was the fact that they mentioned they're going to have more double XP events coming your way over the next few weeks, but they didn't mention specifically if that was going to be this upcoming week, if that was going to be something a week after, or the final week of the season in 2 weeks time. But we do know that we are at least guaranteed one more double tier progression for those that haven't completed their battle pass just yet. I would imagine that given how much time there is still left in the season, that we do have another double XP or a double weapon XP event, but that one just happened this past weekend, so I'm not entirely sure if they'll do another one here with that, but we do know that there's at least a double tier progression coming up at some point, and they slightly referenced it here in this. Now, while there's not a whole lot of new information in terms of upcoming content for what we end up seeing out of this specific blog post, we did get a little bit more clarity on the current issues that are facing a lot of players. Now, we talked about as of Thursday that update 1.13 was honestly a pretty broken update, where it in some cases even reset players entirely for all their public-facing statistics. Now, that said, they ended up mentioning as of today, which was yesterday, anyone who clicked yes on that data corruption prompt that they ended up getting when starting up their game had their combat record stats reset, and they should now see their combat record displaying properly and as they were prior to initiating Wednesday's title update. This won't restore your customization, so you'll need to set up all those again to your liking. However, it now seems like this is a resolution here for this issue, that it's kind of now finally hit that end point where we can go back to the game as normal. Personally, I didn't experience this issue. I don't know my immediate friend group if anybody did, but I saw that it was a widespread problem, so therefore I'm assuming that you ended up, if you made progress during that time, if you hit yes and it reset your stats, if you made progress, it would then revert those changes back and it wouldn't necessarily count for you. I'm not entirely sure if that's 100% the case, but I would assume so. But it seems like there's finally that resolution here with it. I'm still kind of baffled that this ever even happened to begin with, how a game update that was a month in the making actually had this much of a fatal flaw in it, but seemingly now it's the end of the rope for that, hopefully. But there are still issues elsewhere in the game, to which they also did comment on that, talking about the download loop with the Spec Ops DLC for PlayStation 4. Now, I think this is only for PlayStation 4. It may be for Xbox One and or PC as well, but I haven't really heard too much discussion on that, if any. So they ended up saying this is still being investigated. Please keep an eye on our Trello board and at Infinity Ward on Twitter for updates on the issue. Thank you again for your patience. It doesn't really give too much information as to why you may be getting stuck in this download loop. I know that others have brought it up to me asking for an answer, and truth be told, I don't know. And it seems like they're still working on it and they don't have a public answer either. So that's something that may render the game unplayable for a couple of more days, but hopefully a fix comes for that sometime in the very near future, because again, that's another fatal flaw here with this update. I don't think that these are going to require any other additional title updates. It seems like the biggest one out of this has already been worked out, and so therefore you didn't need to download anything to correct that. I'm not assuming you're going to need to correct something with a download again for the Spec Ops stuff, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's a bummer that what could have been a really cool update in terms of fixing some of the critical issues already out there, adding in a new weapon, adding in a new mode of capture the flag, that would have been really cool, but it's been overshadowed by all these other issues as well. But now I want to talk about something that looks to the future and is a thought that I had here as the last couple of days, because I really thought we'd be getting something in terms of a map for Wednesday's update 1.13. And I thought this for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, well, on the promotional material for Season 1, we've exhausted everything that's front-facing here with this and that's been explicitly stated. We saw that we had Crash, Shipment, and Vacant. We had Port of Verdansk. We had Operation Strongbox, Pitch Black, and Grounded for Spec Ops, Atrium and Cargo for Gunfight. We had all that stuff, but we didn't have the and more section. And to my knowledge, outside of the Spec Ops stuff, which truth be told, I haven't really paid too much attention to because it's a whole mess of its own, we haven't seen any new gunfight maps introduced. So at the very least, I was partially thinking, well, hey, maybe we get a gunfight map, maybe 2 or something like that with this update, being that we are rounding into the latter portions of the season, and we're likely only to have maybe one other update here, if we're lucky, for the game that maybe adds stuff in, maybe fix some critical bugs, but only one more left in Season 1. So logically, I would have thought that there would have been a map release so they could market it, and then there'd be time to let it play out and then mark it up then to Season 2 release content in a couple of weeks' time. But there also was that up until, well, a month ago, we had an update every other week in which we got a map of some kind, whether that be a 2v2 map, whether that be a 6v6 map, whether that be a ground war map, or whether it was Spec Ops content of some kind. We got an update that gave us something new to play around with every 2 weeks, but then we saw that that update of 1.12 came out. 2 weeks later, nothing. 2 weeks later, nothing. And then I think it was then another week in which we finally got this week, update 1.13, to which we still didn't get any update with that. So it's definitely thrown off the whole calendar of what we thought we knew and what we thought we could predict. So right now I'm just kind of in a state of, well, where is anything? Because we talked about there's still plenty of maps within the game files, there's still plenty of things to look forward to, and seemingly it's just now a matter of the flicking of the switch, assuming that they are actually completed, but we just don't have anything at the very moment. And to which that gets me kind of skeptical about what we may see for the future of Modern Warfare DLC content, to which I was assuming that the entire year, because we saw for the first month and a half, 2 months of the game, that we had an update every other 2 weeks, but then this massive dry period kind of throws a wrench in that, to which maybe it's not. Maybe it follows something that is still similar to the standard packaging of what we had every single year, but just differently distributed. We saw that Black Ops 4 gave us maps a little more spread out rather than all in just one boxed package like we had seen before with DLC content packs. World War II was the last game that offered us all DLC all in one singular location, though it did admittedly have a couple of maps that came throughout the year with seasons, so I guess Infinite Warfare was the last one to really do that. But when I talk about maybe them actually, even though we see a more so loosely released content amount, having still the same structured amount of content, I think almost back to those DLC packs. And the best one to me, because we usually got 4 maps in one co-op experience, the best one though that I feel like resonates here with this is that of World War II's experience, where we had 3 regular maps, 1 war map, and a co-op experience. And I mean, currently we have Crash, Shipment, Vacant. Those are your 3 standard maps. Port of Verdansk, that ground war map, or what was the oddball in World War II of a war map, and then 1 major co-op experience, though that one doesn't really match up, admittedly. So while we've had 2 co-op experiences, some classic Spec Ops underneath that, some gunfight maps, I'm wondering if that's still kind of all clustered towards the main structure of staying in line with what we normally knew in the past, to which I was kind of hoping that this would be a deviation, a breakaway from what we'd previously known and the frequency at which we got content and the total amount. But I'm wondering if that frequency was only at the beginning and then the total amount is going to now take precedent here in this season and also the future seasons. So I guess we'll have to wait and see here at that one, but it's something that thought being that we haven't seen anything in over a month now, that we haven't seen anything on the near horizon really being teased, I'm hoping that's not the case, but the thoughts creeped into my head, if that makes sense. That said, I'm hoping we see something here, at least a new 2v2 gunfight map in the very near future. Again, we still have the and more section on that, so here's to hoping, but that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Just want to get some things off the docket and then talk about all the things remaining here for what we had and what we hadn't discussed just yet. So let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Is there anything in particular that you're hopefully looking forward to in the next couple of days here in Call of Duty? Is there anything that you're hoping to see fixed out? Anything you want to see added? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practice on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.